Hey, level uppers, welcome to Response Time. We're doing it a little bit different this time. From now on, we're going to follow the reaction time format, and I'm going to bring in one of the other level up cast persons to fill in for Kristen. She did last week. So we got Mike here. Welcome, Mike.
What's going on?
What was that face?
This is my surprise happy face.
It's your surprise happy face.
I'm part of something.
So if you guys don't know what response time is, we're going to be doing this every single week. You guys are going to submit questions through Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, wherever you guys want, and we're going to choose one of the best questions. Everything. And we're going to choose one of the best questions to answer. This week we have one of our biggest supporters, of course, Tyler, a.k.a. Tyspin, has a great question here. What type of new enemies would you like to see in new IPs? And he's saying do not go with the normal zombies, aliens, wild animals, gunslinging baddies. He wants to find out a new enemy type that you can think of that you would introduce into games. So I'm going to let you start with this, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, it's a little tough, man. I mean, I don't know. I've been looking back at a lot of like retro games a lot lately, and I just missed like the whole. Like Vector Man had those like weird, crazy shape-shifting robots and everything like that. Like things that now we feel like they're overplayed, but since they haven't been touched in a long time, I feel like going back to that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Like
the original enemy, types where it was just, stock bad guys and everything like that. Everybody's getting tired of the zombies and the the war vets and everything like that. So thugs and robots. Things from like 80s action movies and everything like that. That could be cool again.
Zombies are definitely just like, I'm so tired of zombies. And it's a shame because there are a lot of good zombie games. I mean, The Last of Us, in a lot of ways, it's like, even I didn't want that to be a zombie game, and it isn't, it's infected and whatnot. But that
wasn't even like a typical zombie, though, at the same time. Like, that was cool. It was like, it took the zombie mold and made it a little more fresh.
And that's the thing is if you're doing a zombie game nowadays, you have to have some type of really, really great spin on it to make it compelling. Because as cool as Dying Light is so far, it's just another zombie game with some parkour added on. So I can completely understand this question from Tyspin. The first thing that came to my head was dinosaurs. Let's bring back dinosaurs.
Like, my God, we talked about this too, like in depth. Like we want a Turok game so bad.
Right? Dino Crisis, all those games. We used to have a lot of dinosaur stuff, and they went away for the longest time. And I really can't think of the last dinosaur game besides you had like Jurassic Park from Telltale, but I mean like where it's an enemy that you are constantly facing and you have to think of interesting ways to combat them. Maybe if you're fighting what's the raptor? If you're fighting a raptor, they're very intelligent. They could do really cool things with AI with dinosaurs now.
Dude, can you imagine? Actually, that'd be really cool. Like imagine how like right now it's all about like RPGs. Like imagine a Bethesda style, Skyrim type, Elder Scrolls type, I should say, like game set in like an old prehistoric dinosaur era, like Paleolithic era or something like that, where there was like all these big, huge, dinosaurs, and you had to go out and like you eventually could like tame one of those little tiny ones that eats the guy at the end in the beginning of the second movie or something like that. Like that would be so cool. Like imagine like you had to like kind of like in Skyrim how you had to build up to be able to fight a dragon the right way. Like eventually your guy is like so big and powerful he can like spear a T-Rex in the face, something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing is what's great about dinosaurs is you have all different sizes. First of all, you can really have that epic scale and like even Final Fantasy 13, one of the enemy types was an Adamantoise. And what made that so cool is just being below this thing at its feet and realizing that you're only as tall as its foot. And you're just like, how am I going to kill this thing? And imagine that with like a first-person shooter, or even with like a cool combat game, like maybe like God of War style, where you have to like try and climb this thing. And that brings me back to one of the best enemy types of the last like 10 years, or probably earlier than that, maybe, was Shadow of the Colossus. Give us like really cool enemies where you have to think. Like every single one of them is like, how do I defeat this guy? How do I find a way to climb it or kill it or whatever?
What's going on? Isn't it Guerrilla Games' new IP that they were teasing that robot dinosaur picture or whatever?
I know. I was definitely going to bring that up if you didn't bring it up first. But that's what's so cool about that is the concept art shows these massive robot dinosaurs, and three of them, you got the red-haired archer, and then you got these other two guys as well with a spear and stuff like that, and they have to work together to bring it down. And I think that's a really cool concept. It's like almost like the what are they from Star Wars? The ATs or whatever they're called?
Yeah, ATs.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like, how do we bring this thing down? It's a robot and it's a dinosaur, so you're merging these two things.
Oh, you just get in your snow spear and just fly around in a circle and make it trip over itself. It's simple.
It's
simple,
awesome.
Simple, man.
But really, it's just like, why not just nothing that we can think of? You know, the only thing we can come up with is like, oh, we know dinosaurs, maybe merge it with something else, but come up with something that is completely new. Like, and I don't mean like Bloodborne. I don't mean like Bloodborne, where you've got a monster that is just this new design, just more and more grotesque. I mean, come up with a new concept, like a really cool new idea for an enemy.
Dude, like imagine, someone, and it was actually inspired by like something Danny said to me. Imagine a game where you have to be a mouse and you have to survive against cats all over the place.
That's not a bad idea at all.
Like you're this like little mouse and you're running and you're like in this apartment complex and you're running it throughout all these things, and each house has you have a house that has like a cat lady in it, and so there's like a ton of cats everywhere and they're constantly plotting against you, and you have to like team up with dogs, like okay, like something different and original that's just so out there. Like, what the hell is this? But at the same time, you're like, this is fresh and I like this.
And I feel like that's the only way we're going to get fresh ideas is if we consult 4-year-olds. So
right.
It's like, because they have the imagination. We have to have a bigger imagination if we want to come up with compelling ideas. And that's another thing that, with The Last of Us, we were saying that they had a spin on zombies, and that's what it was, is that they took this idea and they made the clickers out of them, this idea of the cordyceps fungus taking over the brain and the mind and growing out of your orifices and stuff like that. That's what was so great about that game, is this new type of enemy, and you can base an entire game around that. I mean, that's all you really need, is if you have a really, really great idea for an enemy, you can do some cool things.
It's just all about using your imagination. Like, there's so many of us that are trying to think about cool different things, and me and you have the same problem we just said, and we're just trying to fit in the mold, like, oh, what would work? And it's like, don't think about what would work, just think about what you want to see. And that's the biggest problem I think we all have, is that we're so used to being told this is the enemy, and we're not actually thinking, like, what could be the enemy.
Yeah, it's just that so many things have already been done. It's very, very difficult to come up with a truly original idea at this point. But I'm sure we'll find some, especially from the indie guys. That's what I always like about the indie guys, is they're willing to take those risks and do something really, really bizarre. But I think this was a great question, so thank you, as always, Tyler Tyspin, for your support and for your question. We're going to do this every single week, response time. So right now, if you're watching this on Patreon or on YouTube, go down in the comments below, leave a question that you want us to do next week. And of course, back to Patreon. That is the best way to support our network. So go to patreon.com/thelevelupnetwork. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Click that link. Check out the rewards that you guys can get for donating. Mike, as always, thank you for doing this with me, man.
Of course, brother.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm always going to be a part of response time, but every week I might grab somebody different.
I'm always going to be the shining star because, it's
this
me.
This is my thing. I decided to do this. But it might be Greg one week. It might be Dean one week. And maybe if I feel like Kristen could have good input on the question, maybe I'll grab Kristen to do one of these in the future as well. So keep those questions coming, guys. And thank you for watching. And as always, level up.
Level up.
Level up. See you, Mike.
Level up.
Later, guys.
Later.